if you are moving to the Dominican Republic, or you're coming on vacation, or maybe you're staying for an extended period of time and you're renting an apartment, here are some things you should not assume. Many of these things, I'm so glad someone told me about them because they're things that I would not even think to ask.
Hello, hola, it's Yonny and Kayla. Hola, hello from the DR of Buffalo.
Number 1, do not assume that you can drink water from the sink. That water is not good. That will give you a parasite. It will make you sick. And it's not for drinking. It's not for cooking either. I use purified water for drinking and for cooking. Not everyone knows not to drink the water from the sink.
Oh yeah, I have a story.
Because how would you know if no one told you? You wouldn't.
Exactly. One of my friends who came from the U.S., he drank the water from the sink.
Well, he came here, he rented an apartment on his own, and then he was drinking the water from the sink, as is normal in the United States.
Yeah, he thought it was the same thing here.
And he just kept doing it?
Yeah. And then he kept having problems with his stomach.
He realized it was the water? Or did someone tell him?
Yeah, he realized it was the water. And then he started buying water. So, please learn now, before you get here, don't ever drink the water from the sink.
Number 2, don't assume that you can throw the toilet paper into the toilet, because you can't. It will mess up the entire plumbing system, and it's not good because the pipes are not big enough. They can't handle it, which I feel like is common in many countries in the world, but not in the United States. And when I was making the list, I was thinking about an American who used to be our neighbor. He had to have the entire floor dug up in his apartment, and they had to replace all of the pipes, and it was leaking into the apartment underneath him and everything. And it just occurred to me that maybe no one told him that he shouldn't be putting the toilet paper in the toilet. Number 3, do not assume that it is always hot in the Dominican Republic, because it actually gets pretty chilly. In San Pedro de Macoris, which is where we live, it goes down to about 60 degrees in the winter, and it's very cold on a motorcycle. In Santiago and more of the northern parts of the island where there are mountains, the temperature can get down to about 0 degrees Celsius, which is pretty chilly. It's not expected for a tropical climate. So if you want to avoid the heat, I would visit in the winter and not in the summer, because it gets very hot in the summer. Number 4, do not assume that you will have hot water. There is no guarantee that the apartment will have hot water. If you're staying at a hotel, I'm sure the hotels have hot water. But if you're renting an Airbnb or an apartment, which some people do, then there's no guarantee that there's going to be hot water. In fact, most people who live in the Dominican Republic don't have hot water. Many apartments don't even have the pipes for hot water. Number 5, do not assume that there will be power or electricity 24 hours a day. In Buffalo, I don't remember a time when we didn't have power. Maybe once when it snowed 6 feet in a night, then the power went out for a day. But other than that, we had power all the time. But here, the power does go out in the summer more than in the winter. If it's raining a lot, or there's a tropical storm or a hurricane's coming, they'll turn it off to prepare for that. And then every once in a while, they will schedule a power outage in San Pedro to do maintenance or work or whatever. But most of the time, we do have power. And when it does go out, it doesn't go out for more than a day at a time. However, there are places and there are cities and villages where they turn the power off during the day in order to conserve it. So depending on where you go, power outages may be more common. Number 6, do not assume that you will have water if the power does go out. At our other apartment, when the power went out, the water also went out. But here at our new apartment, we have a huge water tank on our roof. So if the power does go out, we will have a supply of water. Once that runs out, then obviously we won't have water anymore. If the power goes out for several hours, we still have water, which is really nice. But not every apartment has that. Number 7, do not assume that people will speak English. If you're going to a resort area, then yes, people are probably going to speak English, a little bit of English at least. But in San Pedro, where we live, hardly anyone speaks English. So I'm surrounded by Spanish wherever I go, which is good because then I hear it more often. Number 8, don't assume that you will be able to find milk here because milk goes bad and refrigerated milk spoils, especially if the power goes out. So a lot of the milk that's at the store, in fact, I'm pretty sure all of the milk at the store is in an aisle that is not refrigerated. And it doesn't taste like milk. It doesn't taste like the milk that you're probably used to if you live in the United States. But I like it with cereal.
So Rika,
It's the best. Their chocolate milk is delicious and their orange juice is delicious. Do you not think it's delicious?
well, everything we buy about it, we have like it.
And guess what they
Yeah.
just started making?
What?
Almond milk. Rika, they just started making almond milk.
And it's also the best.
It is. Number 9, don't assume that the Dominican Republic is dangerous. It's not any more dangerous than any major city in the United States. I personally have never felt in danger ever in San Pedro. I walk by myself a lot. I don't walk where there aren't any people at all. I don't carry a purse. I don't carry a backpack. I rarely bring my phone with me, even though I probably should. But I have never felt unsafe anywhere. Santo Domingo, which is the capital, that's a different story. A lot of robberies do happen. But again, it's not any more dangerous than New York City or Chicago or anything like that. I did get hacked though. My credit card was scanned when I went to the Capitol. So I didn't have it in like the protection. I didn't have like a protected wallet. And it did get scanned, it did get hacked. It's been 3 years and God has kept Mariano and I safe. And last but not least, don't assume that people are out to get you, or that people just want money, or that people want to hurt you or harm you. And that's for me too. Because last week, a friend of mine was here and we were walking home from the bus stop and there was a guy who was following us, but he wasn't really following us. We were kind of going in the same direction and he kept helping us like cross the street. I was like, well, does he want something? Is he trying to get something? Or is he just trying to be helpful? And it turns out like, yes, he was just trying to help. He saw that 2 Americans were by themselves. He wanted to make sure that we were safe. And I have a hard time doing that because there are people who ask for money. There are people who come up to me and want things from me. But most people mean well. And I don't want to constantly think in my head, oh, someone's going to ask me for money, or they're going to try and rob me, or they're going to try and follow me home or something. Like, I don't want to live my life like that. And I don't think that's good for me to constantly think badly of people. So I would rather assume that they are trying to help, or they're just curious, or maybe some people just come up to me because they're just excited to speak English sometimes. And I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. And then, yes, if I notice that they're doing something and I need to protect myself or I need to walk away fast, then yes, I'll do that. But I don't want to constantly just run away from people all the time because that's not good for me to do that. That is not the world that I want to live in. I don't want to just assume badly of people. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that if you're coming here, that you like it. I love living in the Dominican Republic. And when I came here in 2020 to teach, nobody told me any of these things. These are things I either found out or I knew because I came here on a trip when I was in high school. So I knew some of these things. So I hope they help you. If there are any other assumptions that you can think of, please share them. And that's all. Till next time. I walk by myself a lot. Rarely bring my... And last but not...
I'm doing fine. So ease your worried mind. Sit back and close your eyes. Yeah, this land is a paradise. And the people are so very nice. pen in my